few lines for you. And of course, stick around to find out what's next. Hi, everyone. I know it's been a lifetime and a half, I might add, but it is Black Spring with Autumn on your Thursday, July 28th, 2022. And I have a few lines. Some of the lines are going to be things that I've kind of talked about earlier this week, but today I came with the receipts, as they say. I came with the receipts so that you can do your due diligence and yeah. So, I mean, you're always welcome to do your due diligence around here. It's about informing us and letting us know what's out there so we can have more of a balanced scope of what's going on out there. Hello, Melinda. Thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate it. I'm on the other side here. It is me. And I want to talk about, I was to give a couple, it's going to be a little bit of commentary. We have, of course, the door raw, which is, we did call the food wars. We'll see how this is received by the Uncle algorithm. We'll see how that works. We're going to get into that. I have a piece on food being equivalent to national security, which you might be interested in. And I also have a clip that I wanted to share with you from Madame Laugh a Lot is what I would call her. But I also wanted to say that I think that there is a grooming or a massaging going on at this point where because now we're starting to see a resurgence of the face flag, for the lack of a better word. And I'm going to get right into it. I'm just going to be a little bit candid, a little bit casual, and then I'm going to get into it. It's nice to see you guys. Hello, Angry Conservative. Lots of things happening. So, for those sponsors or those of you that have sponsored in the past or just been loyal supporters with your presence or however you chose to support, I'm going to be giving you a shout out per usual. And of course, I'll work on that at a later time, but I'm just going to do a quick little break and we'll come right back and we'll get into it. All right, guys, we'll be right back. This show is brought to you in part by our sponsors. Whether you're interested in health, culture, politics, scripture, automobiles, or music, please check out Derek C. Williams, Killer Whale Channels, The Definition of Anarchy, Marcy T, Joseph Francis Burton, Paralysis by Analysis, Chrysler Imperial H, Little Miss Goth, AZ Infidel, Cold War Jesus, Anthony Scioli, and Let the Truth Be Told. We'll be right back right after this. Almost kind of looks like a memorial wall because it is not quite up to date. Some people have created other names or whatnot via this platform, but we're going to get down to business. Here is what we're coming to do. We're here to check in with you guys, and I really appreciate it. But I'm still working on some aspects of the channel, and I just want to make sure I get back out here. It actually feels kind of nice to be back in. So let me say hello, Melinda. This is the first one in. An Angry Conservative. How are you? Gary Gage, Independent Manny United. Thank you so much. I hope you're well. And Derek C. Williams. I really appreciate it. And I may pop back in. I might put my face in here just for a second. Charlie Ziegler is here. Thank you so much. So I want to talk about something here. I want to start this off with, dare I say, ladies first, or, the debate continues. Arguably, this chivalry. Let's start with the ladies first. Kamala Harris, you can look at this a couple of different ways, but I kind of want to look at this in another way. I want to show you a clip, and it looks like, of course, it's a filler. It's like she just repeats things like regularly. She's on a loop regularly. But we're going to get into the food wars and what Skill Gates is investing in, and he's even left the receipts on his own website for you to see. So but dare I be accused of disinformation? But we're going to start with Harris first, okay? And I want to thank you guys so much for taking your time out on your Thursday. Derek C. Williams comes in with a exercise mood. I really appreciate it. I might even open it up. I'm probably going to give myself, give us a whopping 45 minutes on this stream. And so let's get right into it. I want to share this with you. So first, what I want to do. Yeah, you're in the spirit. We're in good company with Derek C. Williams, without a doubt. So Derek, you're right on. I want you to hold that thought. I'm going to open it up right after I do. I'm going to open it up right after this Kamala clip. And because I have my own contention about, or my own summation of what's going on there. So let's rock into that. Hope you guys are doing well out there and staying, because these temperatures are, they're life changing. Okay, what else can I say? So I'm going to share something with you here, and just hang on. If you haven't seen this, it's going to be brief. So you got to make sure you're paying attention, because you'll miss this one. So this is from, it looks like Breitbart sharing this, and this is the kind of thing that they're posting on the whitehouse.gov. Okay. So I'm going to turn it up here and let me know how your sound is. Okay. I appreciate you guys so much for coming in. And you know what I didn't do? I would be remiss if I didn't do this first. So hang on just a second. Just so you guys can get into the decoder. If I talk about the Z28, if I happen to talk about any of those items, you might know exactly what I'm on about. But hang on one second. But you know what? I'll break it in later. But for now, and we'll talk about your nutrition and all this. But let's start with this first. Let's start with this. I'm going to give you full scale on this. All right. So here we go.
Good afternoon. I want to welcome these leaders for coming in to have this very important discussion about some of the most pressing issues of our time. I am Kamala Harris. My pronouns are she and her. I am a woman sitting at the table wearing a blue suit.
Okay, now I will say I'm not using the same sound system right now, the same equipment, but I'll restore that. But just one more time for those in the back, okay? And I'm going to give you my take on this, and then I'm going to open it up to see if you guys have anything on this one, and then I'm going to move us on to the food wars and the receipts from the Skates Foundation, the receipts and everything, paying the CCP, recruiting, So let's do it again. Make sure you get this. Stay with me on this one.
Good afternoon. I want to welcome these leaders for coming in to have this very important discussion about some of the most pressing issues of our time. I am Kamala Harris. My pronouns are she and her. I am a woman sitting at the table wearing a blue suit.
Okay. So if you're tracking on that. All right. So what I'm on about here, I'm going to rip this back just a second, just so you can see this. Okay. So my contention is this. I see that, and I'm fantastically annoyed by it. Okay. But at the same time, is it a possibility that we're training AI every step of the way, that we're integrating AI with this kind of, look at the elements. We've got the dehumanization is with the mask. The face flag is back. Okay. That's back. So the less full image that you have, you're becoming more of a neutral zone. Okay. And to me, it's dehumanizing. It's a dehumanizing factor or symbol to me as well, to have that flag. Okay. a lot of people are quite massaged and ripe and very, very ripe and very pliable right now. Okay. And it just seems like we're on the verge of something much bigger. Okay. We're going somewhere, is what I'm saying. We're going somewhere with this. They're going somewhere with it. I don't know if you're going with them, but I'm just saying that. And it's like when you're making these kinds of announcements, it's like predictive programming almost, right? As if we human beings don't recognize each other or our individual attributes that we need to tell each other. But you know what? Who we need to tell is the AI that they're integrating into our systems. The AI would be interested in her attire, would be interested in maybe her gender. The AI might be interested in whatever she identifies with. So to me, it's more robotic to say, well, I am dot 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 dot. I am dot 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 dot. It reads like it's robotic. But then also, who would to me, that's training. That's more training. You're setting the AI up. You're feeding the AI, because what is AI based on? Who creates the content for AI? Who creates the content? Who loads it? Okay, so it's not okay. It's fantastically annoying. Yes, she's doing this exercise of show and tell. Yeah, but it's also, who would that benefit? It would benefit a machine, because the machine can identify that this is not another robot. I am not a robot. You guys are familiar with those little screens when you get to security sites? I check the box. I am not a robot. To me, she's validating that she's not a robot. Well, who would she need to validate that she's not a robot to, other than, I think, another machine? You know that. We can see that. But who are they creating? Who's the infrastructure being laid in place for? I think it is. This is, it's trained, to me, it's training exercises for AI. It's integrating them into aspects. Because we've talked about this before. Specifically, hello, Oliver Rance is here. Nice to see you. Thank you so much for coming in. You guys check out Oliver Rance. I'd love to have him on. It's been on my mind for a while, but we'll see. We'll get to that. Thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. So I think that this is more content or substance for AI, without, you don't have to tell everybody. And the pronouns would benefit. It's more of a transhumanism to me, kind of a infrastructure. It's the vessel. It's the vessel to that. Okay. Is it fantastically annoying to us human beings? Yes. But to AI, the AI wants to know how you identify yourself. Who am I talking to? If we were to have Sophia on the show, or in the presence, in our midst, which I wouldn't want to, but she's going to want to acquaint herself, and she's going to want as much description as she can get, right? Because she has to be fed to a certain extent. And then I tell you something else that came up today. You have this interpreter out here. I find it interesting that they want to make sure that no one misses what they're saying. Okay, never mind what you're seeing. What the communication is. They don't want you to miss that. Don't want you to miss all of that business. But can we literally? I read something today. I was watching. Was it Greg Mannarino? The economy stuff that's going on. I think he's giving a bigger, of course, he's banned and censored just like many, but I think if you're waiting for the Fed chair to give you the real deal, I don't know. So I just want to share something really quickly, just a statement. It's like we can barely get anybody. It went something, I'm paraphrasing something. We can't ever get anyone to tell us the truth anymore. And I thought that was the most profound thing. You can't rely on it. And of course, they don't like you saying anything like that because, that burns, right? So, but yeah, but I've also heard other content creators talk about how, maybe in some other places that they're more accepting of AI and the integration of it better than some. And, it's just like, we're getting judgment, or I know in a little while, they're going to probably call you a racist if you don't accept AI into your, there's the whole Bill of Rights for AI. So once they have rights, aren't you going to have to accept whatever they require to keep feeding them information? I'm just saying, but I'm just saying, I think this is taking the humanization out and replacing it with what is to come. And that was my summation on that. I do have some other things on Food Wars. Of course, We Forum and all these people are involved with that. So yeah, I just wanted you to see that. And Charlie Ziegler got some commentary for us. But yes, and I'm going to keep going here. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. So where we're going to go to next, we'll go to the Food Wars. And we've talked about this a little bit in the past about, you've seen, Robert Downey Jr. advocating for mealworm powder. It's already accepted in Europe. Europeans are already accepting AI. They're already accepting protein products from worms and arthropods and whatever other species or phylums of insects that you can come up with. So what I want to do is go to the Food Wars, and we have I don't want to say the CC, Food Shortages Coordinated Destruction of Humanity, and this is coming from. Let's go with that one first. Let's tag that one in first. A Global Research, I think, is fantastic. You even get something for your time. You can become a member there, if you're interested in that, and free books. So they do offer you something to keep you stimulated over there. So I'm going to put this one on the screen. Scream. All right. So thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. So we're going to go over to the Global Research one, and it continues. It's like we're on a continuation of the Food Wars, for the lack of a better word. So I'm going to share that with you. I'm going to stop sharing that one, and we're going to go over to Food Wars Part 2, and then I'll show you the receipts from the Skates Foundation and the CCP contributions to recruit foreign scientists. All right. All right. Hope you guys are doing well out there. All right. So I'm not going to read this title for obvious reasons. But as you can see, CC, Food Shortages, Coordinated Destruction of Humanity by WE and its, quote, elite cult. Now, this actually comes out of the Global Research. Okay. All right. So, and then they provide a lot for you. So let's go into this a little bit. A little bit of meat here. Pretty good little bit of meat here. Plus, you get the most wanted list. All right. All right. So according to this, a record heat wave is hitting Europe, mostly Southern Europe and the British island. Temperatures are reaching more than 40 degrees Celsius. London measured an all-time record of more than 41 degrees Celsius. The heat wave, with ever-increasing temps, has been hitting Europe for several weeks now, and there seems to be no end in sight yet. Massive forest and brush fires are hitting particularly Spain, Portugal, France, Italy, Greece, but also other parts of Europe. According to news reports, more than 1,000 people have already died in relation to the heat, most of them in Southern Europe. Precise statistics are apparently not available. Is this really possible? Or could it also be deaths caused by the, Inovac? Can we say that? The mocktail? The heat plus the fires is not only destroying human lives and massive livestock and properties, but also vital crops through drought. And now the fires. Food crops are, quote, vital in a time when the mass media narrative 24/7 is brainwashing the public at large with the woes of the Ruski aggression on blue crane that is causing energy and food shortages in the West, particularly in Europe for most countries and in the global South. This is the narrative we are hearing. This is a narrative most people still believe. And now the food that could save us from famine is being destroyed by extreme heat, drought, and fires. Are these fires a result of heat, or could they be caused by an intentional or planned arson? At this juncture, there's no evidence to that effect. And as if it was a bad coincidence, in parallel with the heat wave, the Dutch government, under the leadership of Mark Rutte, a scholar of Santa Klaus Schwab Academy for Young Global Leaders, under close surveillance of the WEF and its, quote, green agenda, end quote, coinciding with the US and the UN green agenda, is imposing on its farmers an up to 30% reduction of farmland and cattle farms, or the pretext that the cattle's manure releasing these horrible climate change gases, ammonia, carbon dioxide, methane, and hydrogen sulfide, will help accelerate, quote, CC. How ridiculous, criminally ridiculous can it get, and worse if people believe and play along? What started in the Netherlands may soon come to a country near you. Some 30% of farmers will not only lose their livelihoods, but are mandated to give up their land to the government for a pittance, so that the government could use this prime farmland for, quote, green, end quote, purposes. Who knows, maybe Skillcates will lease or buy it to produce insects and bugs for his new, quote, green, end quote, insect, cuisine, and a disgusting replacement of one of humanity's main and oldest staple food. Hallelujah. And are we powerless against these monster powers? For weeks, hundreds of thousands of Dutch farmers and their supporters are taking to the streets and blocking highways to and from major Dutch cities, as well as main distribution arteries between Holland and Germany and within the Netherlands, disrupting food and other supply chain distribution schemes. The farmers' rebellion is now getting enforcement from Germany and Switzerland. They are marching with a, quote, wanted list, end quote, on placards of some of those considered as responsible for the crimes committed over the past 2.5 years, crimes dictated by the Great Reset and the omnipowerful financial cult that manages the WEF. So you guys see in the, dare I say, the fatheads? I want to hit the button, but who knows? Vous êtes Swiss? Jean Swiss. This is, as you can see, I don't need to read these names, and I won't, but I'll keep going here. Let me see. I just want to take a short little pause here to see who's joined us here. Are you guys hanging in there? I meant to blow this up full size. I really appreciate it. So yeah, I'm going to keep going here. And I'm probably going to open this up in just a second. I'm going to finish this article, and it's just going to be more elaboration, extension on this, more evidence about food wars. I talked about this at length about the whole nitrogen-free fertilizer. And, we talked about the same issue we talked about the ESG or the SDG, the environmental sustainable goals, and the sustainable developmental goals, which of course we're familiar with that on this channel from the UN Agenda 2030. And those have been around. And of course, the WeForm and those places have been in lockstep. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish that one up, and I'm going to open this up just a little bit because we will continue. I'm going to go on to the Skates Foundation so you can see the receipts that he's actually funding the CCP with grants. So you see, I don't know. I can't make this stuff up, nor do I have to. I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, am I reaching? Am I stretching? Am I overextending? You can tell me. It will be okay. So I'm going to finish this one up, and then I'll tag you guys in if you're interested in being tagged in for your own commentary. All right. So let's get back to this particular article here. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. So hope you guys find this useful on some level. All right. So according to this, do you remember just about a year ago, most of Germany was devastated by record storms and rainfalls. Some 200 people died, according to official records. The full extent of the devastation may never be known. Infrastructure repairs are still ongoing. Authorities are extremely slow in fixing the damage. By the same token, the northeast of the U.S. has experienced extremely cold winter 2021-2022 season, also causing hundreds of deaths. The cold weather strain is blamed on a weaker than usual, quote, polar vortex. What is a polar vortex? This is what Google has to say. A polar vortex is a very large, long-lived, rotating low-pressure system located near the North or South Pole, especially in winter. As an example, they add, quote, earlier in the year, late 2021, early 2022, a weather phenomenon known as the polar vortex chilled North America to a record low temperature. Aren't these extreme climate occurrences not rather unusual? And this especially under the merciless narrative of the global CC, come global warning, man-made CC, mind you. The CC constantly has been changing over the past 4.5 billion years of Mother Earth's existence. Nothing that lives is stagnant. If you look closer, these strange occurrences serve several agendas at once. The CC agenda actively and carefully prepared for it 30 years since the Rio Earth Summit, but in reality, it was already hinted at the early Club of Rome conference and reflected in the COR's most important book, quote, Reshaping the International Order, end quote, in 1976. CC indoctrinated into human brains for the last 30 years since the, quote, Earth Summit, end quote, of Rio in June 1992, also called UN Conference of Environment and Development, UNCED. Has become the new keyword for, quote, every bad deed, end quote, humans commit. It's based on human guilt and manipulates human guilt and benefits from human guilt, a cultural religious inheritance dating back to the Old Testament, and it works. It's one of the factors contributing to what particularly we Westerners are suffering under, quote, cognitive dissonance, end quote. Our brain doesn't want to accept that we may have been lied to and believed all our lives in lies. According to psychologists, quote, psychologists, cognitive dissonance is one of the most difficult human afflictions to overcome. Some of us can easily deal with the shock of sudden reality hitting, but if we don't, and that is what the evil cult is counting on, we are indeed doomed, falling more and more into the abyss created by, quote, them, end quote, from where to escape. It will be ever more difficult, eventually impossible. Today, we still have some time, less and less, with every day we let go by without fierce opposition. We are about a quarter through Agenda 2030, the target date for implementation of everything, meaning full enslavement, owning nothing, and being happy if they attain the goals of their agenda. Since there are signs of people, quote, I'm saying, quote, waking up, quote, they, end quote, being WEF and its handlers are planning to advance the agenda's main targets to 2025, 2026. Hence the rush to get to the WHO, quote, pandemic treaty. So that's a buzzword. You should be on the lookout for this, quote, pandemic treaty, end quote. Pushed through the WHO General Assembly even before the earlier target date of effectiveness in 2024. For more on the quote pandemic treaty, see below. Climate, like everything that lives, has been stagnant, always moves, alters, mutates, and grows into different directions, with or without human presence. That's part of the mystery of the all-comprehensive and all-powerful universe in which we are an invisible, minute speck, or not even. The key influential body for our little solar system and for our Mother Earth's climate is the sun. So, for example, according to, quote, real scientific research, there were at least two, quote, snowball Earth occurrences, one around 717 million and another some 645 million years ago. During these phases, there were particularly no solar surface movements, flares, explosions to heat up Mother Earth. And so we're coming to the close here. Any thinking human, and indeed there are thousands of scientists to prove it, but many are silenced, will concede and have proof that we are being lied to again, and that we are being drawn into multi-trillion-dollar business the so-called green agenda by the neocons and the financial giants who control them: BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, all with the objective to take full control of our planet's resources and humanity. We are indeed living in a very crooked world. Waking up to this reality and sitting down with ourselves, families, and friends to separate the wheat from the chaff is indeed a challenge. But we must face it. It's our only chance to survive, recognizing the truth over lies. Unfortunately, many scientists who deserve the attribute and who are daring speak up are silenced, either censored or otherwise. So, according to this, the groundwork for the 1992 Rio conference, the quote Earth Summit, and for much of what is going on today, was and is the Club of Rome's report of 1976, Reshaping the International Order. Okay, so you get more deets here about the source here. This controversial book was formulated by a group of some 20, quote, experts. You get more information here, but as you can see, there's some things here. And of course, this goes on for some time. You have the WHO, the WHO, the pandemic treaty. And I think with the more, the more disease, the more we're going to, it's not going to go away. It's just going to stay on rotation. We're going to stay on the loop there. It's Freedom's March. How are you? Thank you so much for coming in. It's nice to see you. All right, guys. So, keep your eye on this. I'm not going to read this entire thing because it is, it's the last section of it, but it is the WHO's pandemic treaty. What is being played out now, the disruptions and the outright destruction of food production, as well as the implementation of harsh climate agenda is real, and it fits perfectly the agenda of the Great Reset. So you guys can do your due diligence. I mean, of course, I can read through it, but this thing is, it tells us where we are right now. This thing, if you get into the treaty and what they want to do, and they didn't get the response that they wanted at this health assembly not too long ago. They didn't get what they were looking for. So yeah, I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm actually going to open this up just for a smidge. And then in the meantime, I'm going to talk about the receipts from the Skates Foundation and what he's doing with his money and rubbing his hands. And it's literally like mad science. He's a caricature of a mad scientist, in a cartoon to me. All right. So what I'm going to do, I will put this out. I'm trying to read some comments as well. So you grab the pendulum and swing if you please. Swing responsibly. That's a little flammable, I know. All right, so let's see. Charlie Ziegler, I'm backtracking here. It says entertainers mouthpiece for the NWO, or they want you to say the LWO. I want you to say that. Independent Many, so nice to see you here. She says they want you to think AI will take over, but it's just going to be their systems. Exactly. It's just another, that's what I'm talking about. Narcissism. They want you to see the world the way they see themselves, and the way they see themselves interacting, with the world. And it's, and they need that. They need that. It's not just, shout out to Dr. Romney. It's not just, it's not that, that the energy, the main character energy is bigger than that. Trust me, it's much more toxic than that. It's not healthy, okay? It's not. It's really not healthy. But I really appreciate you guys so much for coming in. So yeah, the pendulum's out there. If you have an itch you want to scratch, and there's something you want to get off of your chest, I don't know, but you're welcome to do that. We got another 20 minutes, 30 minutes on here, and then I'm going to let you guys get back to your Thursday. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to read some more of these comments. But in the meantime, how about I go ahead and take you over to, I'll take you over to the receipts from the Skates Foundation, okay? And it's like absolutely nobody's paying any attention to what these guys are doing. They're not. And I have this lovely little food security is national security. We'll go with that one first, and then we'll come back to good old skates. We'll do that. Hope you guys are doing well out there, per usual. It's nice to see you guys. All right. So we're going to open this one up. And this is coming from the Center for Security Policy.org. Food security is national security. So I'm not going to read this thing verbatim to you, but I do love the graphic, what they've done here. I do love I love the grid that they've used here. You can see the destruction on one half, and then you can see the economic burn down, the economic decline as well, right? You see the crops going down, and then you can see your economic downturn there. So, and then we're playing with the definition now of what a recession is. You know, they've been changing that in what, last 24, 48 hours, that's taken on a new definition. But, you know, if I don't want to get into that because that's not my domain of competence. Like Greg Monterino does a great job with that. But let's just get into this just a smidge here, because it's more of the same. It's more of the same. Okay, because we've talked about this, an uptick in fires at food processing facilities has sparked concerns about the safety of America's food supply. Diseases have disrupted and severely damaged food production. The CV pandemic closed meat processing facilities, forcing millions of healthy pigs to be euthanized in 2020. And insect-borne bacteria from Xinhua threatens the nation's entire circus production. Okay, I'm going to tell you something. That is my code word for that 5-letter word. I'll say le chinois, and you know what I mean, okay? Because, you know, I'm trying to keep the AI off my trail a little bit here. Man-made policies are causing painful food shortages worldwide. Last year, the Xinhua hoarded half the world's grain, driving up prices. The Blue Crane, one of the world's largest grain producers, has seen its exports down 30% since the Ruski invasion last February. The CC policies threaten to decimate food production in the Netherlands, Italy, and Germany, causing farmers to take to the streets in rebellion. And here I am, cross-referencing what I was talking about earlier, was that you've got these farmers, which to me, it's almost like they're staging their own, it's like a farmer's caravan, because this is their version of a peaceful protest or this is their way of doing it. They thought, well, we're going to feel some pain right now, but it might be better if we do this pain right now, and then rather than suffer, the long term. Okay, so it's all about, I made this reference earlier, that those familiar with the most recent farmers' protest in the Netherlands are saying that the Dutch government's climate nitrogen reduction policies targeting farmers actually have a nefarious goal. And we talked about this before, where we talked about how the Korean government wanted to, their nitrogen is what they're trying to keep that down. They don't want you, they want you to contribute to the fertilization in a kind of gross, defecating kind of way. But we've talked about that on this channel before. And that's affecting the food supply. You need that nutrient in the soil, and without it, I think it's devastating what's going to happen. So like I said, I really appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. Any farmers in the chat? Or even if you're growing something, if you're faithfully growing anything right now, that would be helpful. Let me read your comment from Independent Mini. I'm so glad you're here. Just, have you all seen the line Futuristic Living you're working on in Saudi Arabia? No, I haven't. Independent Mini. If you have any of that, let us know. If you want to drop something like that in the chat, you can feel free to do so. But I haven't seen that. I've been hearing about things, but not that. I haven't looked into any of it specifically. But I'm not surprised. And the pendulum is out there in case you just joined us. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. So yes, yeah, because in the sustainability development goals or the environmental sustainable goals, of course, you can't have any of these things, manure and anything that gives off gases. In a minute now, the human beings are going to be in trouble for giving off gases for eating those beans. Be no gas. I'm just saying. So I'm going to scroll a little bit. And so, this, we've talked about this as far, into Africa. And it's hit home here. Like, it's costing more, I think. And I think there were certain resources that we were short on not too long ago, or in production. But the farming is, I think, it's going to catch up to us, sooner rather than later. But it's a perfect storm, right? I think, if you're, maniacal, it is. So let me back up here. Melinda Gates, Melinda, I'm sorry about that. She says, these geniuses are definitely playing with the weather. Big tech at work with our monies. Gary Gage, thank you so much for coming in. But I certainly am going to move us over to the technocracy. We've been in technocracy, but I'm going to get you over to the national pulse is what I want to take you to. Hope you guys are doing well once again. This is going to be our last piece of the evening. So this is trying to be a little informative, but of course, bring you guys in because I haven't heard from you in a while. Hope you're doing well. Let's see if I can grab this. I may have to dig it out for a second here. So hang tight. I'm going to do a quick little commercial and come right back. Stay tuned. right, guys, I really appreciate it. So let's go in for our final piece on today. And I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. And we're going to head over to another piece that I want to share with you. And it comes from the National Pulse is where this comes from. Actually, it's not just the National Pulse is covering it. It's quite a few people are covering it. It's actually, you can check it. You can check it out on Freedom's First. Check out, something similar to this, or even on the Epoch Times, they have it. It just seems like I missed it, but it's definitely here. Let's see if I can grab it from here. Okay, so we got the receipt. We'll hit it. We'll get it from Freedom First, the Freedom First network, and see if we can cross-reference any changes. So I appreciate you guys so much. So we got the receipts, came with the receipts, as they say. This is from the Freedom First Network. All right, so as you can see, your friend here has the receipt showed that the Skill Gates Foundation paid the CCP to recruit more, you guessed, scientists. All right, to help the CCP churn out more bioweapons. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is sending cash to the CCP, Ministry of Science and Technology, to recruit more foreign scientists. The Microsoft mogul himself, via his, quote, nonprofit, end quote, just sent a $100,000 grant to the Xinhua government's Foreign Talent Research Center. The stated purpose of being for, quote, the pandemic preparedness and response. It sounded like tabletop, going back in the tabletop zone. Okay, the grant is specifically tagged for use in, quote, leveraging its resources to improve global health and support, these poor little peasants, disadvantaged populations who, as I see, are disproportionately impacted by pandemic. Okay, so the same thing was going on with that MasterCard Gavi thing. Shout out to Derek C. Williams. The center is affiliated with the, I cannot pronounce this one, I'm sure, Zhonggong Forum, a Beijing-based technology conference sponsored by the CCP. Its high-level officials include none other than the Xinhua president. I won't even say it here, who speaks at the event. Okay, I'm sure he spoke at the WE Forum as well. And Lord Fauci was there too. Discovery of the grant comes amid controversy over alleged ties between researchers in both the U.S. and Le Xinhua, a partnership that is believed to be responsible for the creation of the, you know what I mean. Since the beginning of the pandemic, the CCP has stonewalled every effort to investigate the true origins. Dig that, FF, okay? Which clearly did not come from bats. Oops, soup. At the markets, as was originally claimed by the government. So according to this, Skates is committing treason against the U.S. and its citizens. We also now know that the CCP has weaponized its science and technology program to lure Western scientists away from their home countries in order to prop up and advance their Le Xinhua strategic military buildup. So, I could keep going into this, but I'm sure the algorithm is going crazy right now because this is burning and swelling. They're going to burn and swell for this one. All right, let me see some of your comments here. Melinda says, the way things are going, are they going to have Sally Struthers make a commercial for that $1 a day you can feed a poor, quote? I don't mean to make light of anyone in poverty, but I remember that age. I remember that age, those commercials. We don't want to get to the point where the American belly hits the spine and starts to swell and then explodes. We don't want that either, do we? That would be another tag for the commercial, Melinda. Seriously. And I don't think they would give us a second look. So I'm going to see if I can't grab this because I really wanted you to see. You can go on to his site and see. Never been onto the site, and I really want to comb through it. I really appreciate you guys so much for coming in, and I've enjoyed covering this informative stream with you. I really have. I appreciate you guys as always. Let's see. I'm just trying to see if I can get into the link that shows you. You can go on and check where they're investing, where they can, where you can see where the money is being spent or what it's showing and what it's for. And I mean, this actual particular grant is showing it's a duration of 12 months. Now, do I know how long it's actually going to be? They're funding and supporting that. Now, I can't tell you that. I don't know. Don't know for a fact, but that's what it says according to the docs that I have. But that's actually under the nationalpulse.com. So maybe I just jump over there. And then after that, we can pack it up and fold it in. Let's see. All right, so I probably can find it. Okay, yeah, I got it right here. And this will be our final piece for today. Thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. So I'm going to share this one with you, and you guys can tag these, add it to your, you know, have a different conversation. And most people don't like different conversations because it's more comfortable to stay in the lies. It's definitely more comfortable. So we're gonna go there. So here we are. Okay. So let me get us out of that. Okay, so this is what you can see from the National Pulse. You can see this is exclusive receipts. The Skill Cates Foundation just paid the CCP. So it's kind of consistent. It's pretty consistent with the other one. So we cross-referenced two sources here and they're saying the same thing. But what I wanted you to see is to see the actual grant, and you can see some of the other, you can see where you can actually see how it's logged into, I guess it's a database that they have. Let's see. Okay, so you can see right here. You can see here you have a division, a global policy and advocacy, date June 2022, a region served, a global, and it's got Asia, and then this one has a committed amount, shows you $100,000. The grant topic here was included the global health and development, public awareness and analysis, and the grantee location is actually Beijing, Le Chinois. So you see that. And I guess you can see universities, according to this, the unearthed grant comes amidst the foundation's pouring of millions of dollars into Le Chinois, including to universities with ties to the, you got more of that. So I guess they gave you that little bit of, so once you go down the rabbit hole, it just keeps going, right? Okay, I'll get a little bit off there. But so this is more of another report. Okay. So so those little hyperlinks or those highlighted words in there, they always take you into a little bit more in depth. So you can see what you want to see. Luciano, how are you? I'm sorry you didn't get it. And Independent Mini has put some great things in there. And you guys check each other out for sure. I really appreciate you guys so much for coming in. Let's see, who am I missing here? Gary Gage said earlier, ooh, AI training. I hadn't thought of that. Of course, they are claiming that they are included. Yeah, you got to include everybody in there. But seriously, that's the type of language I would think that AI would be able to receive, because it's very, it's very programmed. It's very generic. It's very monotone. It's very, very vanilla. That's exactly what it is. I am, Roger Rabbit, and I'm wearing a gray suit and Chucks and gray Chucks today. And I'm a male rabbit. Okay, I'm sorry. I'll stay out of the Roger Rabbit and Mickey Mouse fox. And, it's always going to be a pox, right? Some kind of pox. It's just never going to stop. Pox us out, right? I just think they're looping and rebranding everything. Loop and rebranding something. Piece of this, a piece of this. It's like a soup, Just mix a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and we got what? We got something else to blow your mind. Then I've talked about this today. Like, what is it? Fear is the brew, because guess what fear is? It's energy too. Shout out to Mr. Franchot Pearson. Is that, yeah, they need the energy, the chaos. You get energy from chaos. You get energy from fear. You get energy, of course, from anger, but we don't really think about, the other, the nuance, the spectrum of energy and where it can be created from. And I didn't even do anything on CERN. I did not. But I tell you, to me, I think a lot of dark things have happened since CERN, and I did not make it to that. I never did make it to the place. We talked about the GGSS. I never made it to the GGSS. Did not. All right, I'm going to go back through here. Angry Conservative was here. I really appreciate it. Derek C. Williams was here. Yes, I just had to pop in, because I think we've been going through an emotional recession for a long time. And I can say that. Let's see, I got a new comment here coming out of. Yes, he is fantastic. I think he's fair, and I think he's very humble. I really, it's a good program. Just not bells and whistles, just information and his own testimony. And that's what you guys do on here. We do a lot of that around here. We're not bragging. We're just giving testimony most of the time. That's what we're doing. And, and we support each other when we can, however we can. So once again, I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in on this segment. And like I said, I'm going to be coming back. I've just had to I've had to shift some things, and hopefully I'll be getting, things will be quite stationary, and then I can even, I can maybe zoom up the studio a little bit more, put in some extra lights, and it'll be super stationary, and very much so. So I think in a couple of weeks, maybe so, we can do that. But I thought it'd be good to come back on and to check in with you guys. I really appreciate it. So I'm going to take one quick little break, and I will be right back. Guys, thank you so much. So, and then here's another thing. I didn't forget about this. I've got a whopping 8 minutes max, but we're already at 59. So we talked about the 411 kind of a potluck bit. I don't know. You guys can give me some ideas on, can we talk about what items are easier to grow in, like different types of clay? I mean, not all clay. It's not all clay, but different kinds of soil. And then, what types of things would you grow in the fall? Because, maybe this fever, this scorching fever is going to break at some point. But then you want to be able to, keep going. If you're already working on some items, how are you maintaining it? And what grows best in the fall months, and how do you keep it from, getting from freezing or whatnot? So, maybe I can start next month or something. Gary Gage comes in, and Luciano says, oh, Luciano, this is okay. Gary Gage says, I think it's interesting in how the GGS were removed and ended up no one cares. That is interesting, right? It is interesting. And Gary Gage says, I plant my beets this week for fall harvest. You see, that's what I'm saying. So I'm like, you guys bring it on, like pile on whatever you want for like a 411. Pile on as much as you can, if you can, wherever you can. I appreciate it. if you're interested, just send that email and let us know if you're interested in, participating with that. Be glad to have you per usual. All right, guys. So beets, what beans grow best? I mean, are like which beans? Because I used to, my dad used to get beans and we used to shell them. Was it purple? The peas. There were purple whole peas. We shell the purple whole peas. We'd have purple whole peas shelling contest. I have to find out who's got that going, or if I can get any of that started myself. I'd like to do that. But I love that. I'd like to grow into beets. For the lack of a better word, I'd like to grow into those beets. Gary Gage, I really appreciate it. So yeah. All right, guys, we're gonna wrap this thing up. And yeah, that's what we're gonna do. I really appreciate you guys. So I'm gonna say hi and then we're out. From the top, we had Melinda. Thank you so much. Angry Conservative, Independent Men United. We had Gary Gage, Derek C. Williams popped in an exercise mode. Thank you for that. Derek C. Williams, thanks so much to have you around. You guys check out Derek. I'm behind probably 2 videos, but I'm going to catch up. If you got some time, go by and check Derek out. Go by and check him out. It'll be worth your while. And to repeat some names, Oliver Rants popped in. So I was in the presence of a celeb. Well, we'll go better than that. We'll do better than a celeb. We were in the presence of a great thing, of a thinker. I don't know if many people want to be referred to as celebrities. Let's see. Freedom's March was here. So thank you so much for coming in. Luciano was here. Thank you so much. And Melinda Ann Burns says prayers and blessings to all and to you. Thank you so much. All right, guys. Luciano says there's a channel called Learn Organic Gardening at Grow Your Own Greens. It's informative of choosing the ideal soil to grow. Wow, that would be helpful. It really would. So I'll be honest, it's like some things have changed, So I'll tag that in. Learn Organic. Thank you, Luciano. I'll go in. And was it the Ranger? The Ranger. I haven't seen him in a while, but he's been posting, of course. But we'll get into that. His name is John. All right, I appreciate that so much. All right, guys. So that's gonna wrap us up and pack us up and fold us in. I'll let you see it is me I am here in the background. I'm still here. All right, guys. All right, we're going to pile out of here. And like I said, let me know, because I did say I was aiming for August for a 411. And yeah, come on and give us your best medic castor oil, give it to us straight. We really appreciate it. Give us your best turpentine. Turpentine or witch hazel concoction, or give us your best sanitizer concoction. I found some of my aloe vera gel the other day, so I'm going to get back to it. I'm going to recreate some organic or home-based sanitizer. All right, guys. Have a great rest of your evening.